The colony of Astra Nova was supposed to be a symbol of humanity's expansion into the unknown, a thriving hub on a rich mining world, tucked away on the edge of human-controlled space. The settlers, mainly engineers, miners, and families, had worked tirelessly to terraform the planet and tap into its resources. There was peace on Astra Nova, a feeling of isolation, but also of safety. The kind of peace that comes with knowing that no one is watching you in the vast, indifferent void of space. That peace was shattered in a single blood-curdling moment. The sky over the colony had been clear that morning, a perfect day for work. Suddenly, the atmosphere warped with the deep hum of an incoming fleet. Pirate ships, sleek and fast, appeared from the void like ghosts. They had been lying in wait, covered, patient, and deadly. Within moments, they released their payload, precision bombs that disintegrated communications towers, power grids, and defense turrets. No one had time to react. No alarms blared. The pirates moved too quickly. The first wave of firebombs turned the once vibrant colony into a hellscape. Buildings crumbled, ships exploded in midair, and the screams of terrified civilians filled the air as the ground shook beneath their feet. The sound of blaster fire echoed as pirate infantry, heavily armored and cruel, stormed the streets. They didn't care who they killed. Miners, children, farmers, soldiers, it didn't matter. Blood pooled in the streets as the invaders moved through the colony like locusts. Jack Tyler, a young miner just a few weeks away from celebrating his engagement to his sweetheart, had been on a routine maintenance shift when the attack began. His work crew had been assembling a new machine to process the planet's abundant mineral deposits. They'd only been a few hours into the job when the first explosions rocked the ground. At first, Jack thought it was just a freak accident, maybe an equipment malfunction. Then came the sirens, not for warning, but for evacuation. A quick look out the window was all it took to understand. Pirate ships hovered overhead, casting their shadow over the colony like a dark omen. It was too late to escape. The ground shook beneath Jack's feet as a loud crash came from the outer perimeter. A pirate dropship had crashed into the central square, sending debris flying in all directions. Jack sprinted to the surface, his heart hammering in his chest. He saw the devastation firsthand. People running, screaming, as pirate soldiers tore through the streets, gunning down anyone they could catch. A child's body lay in the street, her small hand outstretched in the last desperate hope of escape. "Jack, Jack," a voice called out. It was Emily, his fiancée. She had been inside their small home just a block away. She was covered in dirt, her face pale with shock. Jack didn't hesitate. He grabbed her arm, pulling her toward the nearest underground shelter. They ran, the sound of weapons fire growing louder behind them. The world was falling apart around them. But in that moment, Jack's only thought was getting Emily to safety. The shelter door slammed shut behind them with a finality that was almost deafening. The darkness inside was thick, and the air felt heavy with fear. Jack turned to look at Emily, his chest tight with terror. "I'm not losing you," he said, his voice barely a whisper. But when they peeked out moments later, it was already too late. The pirates had breached the shelter and taken everything from Astra Nova. The human frontier had been shattered. The pirates had come. And for Jack, that was just the beginning. The news of Astra Nova's fall spread like wildfire across human colonies, tearing through communication networks and broadcast systems. Jack's escape from the hellish wreckage of his home was just one of thousands of stories. It wasn't just a colony that had been destroyed. It was a statement. The pirates had taken the lives of countless innocents and humiliated humanity in the very frontier of space they had worked so hard to carve out. For the first time, humans began to realize the true scope of the pirate threat. The pirates weren't just criminals or marauders. They were a rising power in the galaxy, capable of destroying entire settlements with impunity. Their alliance of diverse alien species, all bound by a thirst for chaos and bloodshed, had long been underestimated. No more. Astronova was only the first strike, but it was the catalyst that ignited the fury of a sleeping giant. Jack had no intention of staying silent in the face of such brutality. The attack had taken everything from him: his home, his family, his future. He was a man driven by one singular purpose: vengeance. The despair that had consumed him in the immediate aftermath of the massacre was replaced by an unrelenting rage that burned hotter than any fire he had ever felt. It wasn't long before the Human Legion found him. The Legion was a covert military organization designed to handle the most dangerous threats in the galaxy: rogue states, alien warlords, and now, the pirates. They had been monitoring pirate activities for years, but the attack on Astronova was the spark that called them into action. The Legion's commander, Admiral Sarah Harper, was a legend in human military circles, known for her brilliance in strategy and ruthless efficiency. She had seen humanity face enemies far stronger and smarter than themselves, and she knew exactly how to turn that weakness into their greatest strength. "You're not alone in this," she told Jack, her steely eyes locking onto his. "This war isn't just about Astronova. It's about every single one of us." They crossed a line, and now we're going to make them pay. For Jack, the decision was easy. He could have fled, hidden among the few surviving colonies, or lived in quiet mourning. But he knew deep down that there was only one way to honor the memory of those lost: fight. The pirates would learn that humanity's thirst for revenge could not be quenched. Training began immediately. Jack, a simple miner just weeks ago, was thrust into a brutal regimen of combat, tactics, and strategy. The Human Legion wasn't like any standard military force. It was built on adaptability, quick thinking, and relentless aggression. From the start, Jack's natural instincts for survival made him a standout recruit. He was driven by something more than duty or honor. He was driven by the blood of his fallen comrades, by the faces of his friends and family who had been mercilessly slaughtered. As Jack trained, the rest of the galaxy watched as humanity, once seen as a distant and fragile species, rallied under one banner. The pirates had made a grave mistake. The galaxy had underestimated humanity's ability to unite in the face of unimaginable adversity. And now, with every passing day, the fire of vengeance burned hotter. But it wasn't just about striking back. Humanity had something the pirates didn't: unshakable resolve. They had been tested, but they hadn't broken. And the pirates were about to learn that no one, not even the most feared outlaws in the galaxy, could stand against humanity's will to survive. The days blurred into weeks as Jack's training with the Human Legion intensified. His body was pushed to its limits, his mind honed to a sharp edge. The Legion's methods were unorthodox, combining military discipline with guerrilla tactics, exploiting every weakness and flaw in their enemies. The pirates had been ruthless in their attacks, and humanity had learned fast that in this war, mercy was a luxury they couldn't afford. Jack wasn't alone in his thirst for vengeance. The Legion was composed of civilians, soldiers, engineers, and ex-soldiers from all walks of life, each with their own reasons for joining the fight. Some had lost family like Jack. Others had seen their colonies raided, their homes destroyed. And there were those who simply couldn't stand to see the terror the pirates brought to the galaxy. What united them was the desire to wipe the pirates from existence. For every human that died, 10 more would rise to take their place. Admiral Sarah Harper, watching the growing strength of the Legion, understood one thing: humanity needed to hit the pirates where it hurt most: their supply lines. The pirates thrived on their stolen technology and resources, and if they were to be beaten, their ability to maintain their fleet and strongholds had to be crippled. The first target was a pirate weapons depot hidden deep within an asteroid field, a well-fortified base that the pirates had used to store the armaments they had looted from human colonies. The Legion had one objective: destroy it. The plan was simple but dangerous. Infiltrate the heavily defended asteroid base, plant explosives on the critical systems, and get out before the pirates knew what hit them. Jack was selected to lead the assault. His training had earned him the trust of his superiors, but this would be his first real test. The night of the mission, the Vigilance, a sleek warship designed by the Human Legion, dropped out of warp speed, cloaked against enemy sensors. Jack, along with a small squad of elite operatives, silently boarded their stealth shuttle and descended into the shadowed belt of asteroids. The asteroid base loomed ahead, its stark, metallic surface gleaming in the cold light of distant stars. As the team neared the base, tension thickened the air. The pirates had set up an intricate system of scanners and sentries, but the humans were prepared. Using pirate tech they had turned against them, they disabled the security measures and slipped through the perimeter undetected. Jack's heart pounded in his chest as they moved through the narrow halls of the depot. They passed crates stacked high with looted human weapons, rifles, explosives, starfighter components. Each one represented another life lost, another family destroyed. It fueled their drive, but it also reminded them how much was at stake. They reached the central command hub, where the main power grid was located. With a whispered command, Jack's team planted the charges on the core systems, setting the countdown timer. Just as they finished, an alarm blared. Pirates had detected their presence. The door to the room slammed shut, locking them inside. "Time to go," Jack barked. The team fought their way out, cutting down the surprised pirates with ruthless efficiency. But the base was coming alive, and reinforcements were already on the way. With seconds to spare, Jack and his team made a daring escape through a narrow maintenance tunnel, just as the depot erupted in a massive explosion behind them. The shockwave rocked the nearby asteroids, and for the first time since the attack on Astronova, Jack felt a flicker of satisfaction. Humanity had struck back. As they made their way back to the Vigilance, Jack's heart raced, not from fear, but from the knowledge that they had hit the pirates where it hurt. This was just the beginning. The pirates had underestimated humanity's will to fight, and they had just learned a hard lesson. When humans went to war, they didn't just survive. They made sure their enemies never did. The explosion that leveled the pirate weapons depot sent shockwaves far beyond the asteroid belt. News of the attack spread like wildfire across the pirate fleets, and panic set in. Pirates who had once felt invincible, knowing their operations were secure and their enemies weak, now found themselves vulnerable. They had been exposed. Humans had breached their defenses, sabotaged their most critical supply lines, and gotten away without leaving a trace. The smug confidence they'd once taken for granted began to crumble. In pirate strongholds across the galaxy, whispers began to circulate. "The humans are coming for us." Fear took root in the hearts of even the fiercest pirate captains, and for the first time, they began to rethink their approach. Kraith the Vile, the pirate lord who had orchestrated the raid on Astronova, was furious. His men had been humiliated by the sudden human offensive, and his reputation as the galaxy's most ruthless warlord was at risk. The pirates had always preyed on the weak, striking without warning, taking what they wanted, and vanishing into the void. But now, they were the ones being hunted. The human raids were swift, relentless, and calculated, something the pirates had never encountered before. Kraith paced in his command room, his mind racing. He'd underestimated the humans' resolve, their ability to organize and strike back. But he wouldn't make that mistake again. The pirates weren't just going to fight to defend their empire. They were going to hunt down every human who dared to challenge them. "Send the bounty hunters," Kraith ordered, his voice low and cold. "Get them all. We're going to make an example out of them. Let them know what happens when they cross the pirates." Meanwhile, Jack and his squad were preparing for their next move. The Legion's successes were starting to cause a ripple effect. More pirates were retreating into the shadows, and pirate strongholds on the fringe were going dark. But that didn't mean they were giving up. Far from it. They were doubling down, bringing in mercenaries and hiring bounty hunters to track down the humans who had dared to challenge them. The pirates' new strategy was simple: overwhelm and annihilate. Jack's team wasn't the only human group taking action. Other Legion units were scattered across pirate systems, all targeting different aspects of pirate infrastructure: slave camps, smuggling rings, and communication hubs. Every strike made the pirates more paranoid, more disorganized, and more vicious. Jack was itching for more. The raid on the weapons depot had been a huge success, but it was only the beginning. He knew the pirates were planning their retaliation, and his instincts told him it wouldn't be long before they launched an all-out assault to destroy everything humanity had built in retaliation. Admiral Sarah Harper shared his concerns. The pirate lord's next move would be their most dangerous yet, and the Legion couldn't afford to be complacent. But the humans had an advantage the pirates didn't: human ingenuity. Every new pirate ambush, every bounty hunter hired to take them down, only made Jack and his team sharper. They were learning quickly. They were adapting. And now, they were becoming a force the galaxy could no longer ignore. "Get ready," Harper said one evening, her voice unwavering. "We're going to hit them where it really hurts this time. The tide is turning, but it's not over yet. They may have underestimated us once, but they won't make that mistake again. And neither will we." As the Legio prepared for their next mission, Jack could feel the weight of the coming storm. The pirates had made their choice. They would go to war with humanity, but humanity had already made theirs. They would fight, and they would win. The pirates' desperation was beginning to show. Their operations were faltering, their fleets scattered and disorganized, and their confidence shattered. Each human strike, no matter how small, seemed to push them closer to the brink of collapse. But in the heart of the human legion, there was a growing realization. This war could not be won with small, calculated raids alone. It was time to escalate, to strike at the heart of the pirate empire with everything they had. Admiral Sarah Harper had long known that a new kind of weapon was needed, a weapon that would give humanity the edge they so desperately needed. It wasn't just about fighting pirates anymore. It was about dismantling the pirate threat once and for all, and ensuring humanity's place in the galaxy was no longer up for debate. The Titan's Fist was humanity's answer, a colossal warship unlike any the pirates had ever seen. It was the result of years of secret development by the human legion, a ship built to not only match but exceed the firepower of even the most advanced pirate fleets. The Titan's Fist was an engineering marvel, equipped with stolen pirate technology, reverse-engineered by the Legion's finest minds, and armed with humanity's own ingenuity. The ship's hull was made of a near-impenetrable alloy, and its weapon systems included energy cannons capable of tearing through pirate shields in a single blast. The Titan's Fist also had a fleet of specialized strike craft designed to outmaneuver the pirates' own ships, coupled with state-of-the-art stealth technology to allow it to slip through enemy lines unnoticed. It was humanity's shining example of what they could achieve when pushed to the limit. When Jack first laid eyes on the Titan's Fist, it took his breath away. The sheer scale of the ship was beyond anything he had ever imagined. It wasn't just a warship. It was a symbol of everything humanity had been forced to become in order to survive. The pirates had underestimated them, but they wouldn't be able to ignore the might of the Titan's Fist. As Jack and his squad prepared to board, the gravity of their mission set in. The plan was simple but daring: launch a full-scale offensive against the pirate homeworld and destroy their central fleet once and for all. The Titan's Fist would lead the charge, decimating the pirate defenses before Jack and his team infiltrated the pirate stronghold deep within the heart of their territory. "We hit them hard. We hit them fast," Admiral Harper said, her voice steady. "The pirates will have no choice but to fold. This ends now." The first phase of the operation unfolded flawlessly. The Titan's Fist tore through pirate defenses with devastating efficiency, crippling their fleet in a series of lightning-fast strikes. The pirates had no time to respond. Their fleets were shattered, their bases obliterated, and their forces scattered in the wake of humanity's power. Jack watched from the command center, his pulse quickening as the Titan's Fist tore through pirate lines with surgical precision. But there was one final step. Jack and his team had to land on the pirate homeworld itself. They had to infiltrate the heart of the pirate empire, disable their last remaining stronghold, and ensure the pirates could never again threaten human colonies. As the Titan's fist hovered above the pirate capital, ready to strike the final blow, Jack knew this was the moment of reckoning. The battle wasn't over yet, but humanity's revenge had begun in earnest. And this time, the pirates had no escape. The descent to the pirate homeworld was perilous. Jack and his team, aboard a stealth shuttle, cut through the atmosphere of the pirate capital like a blade through flesh. Below them, the city sprawled in chaotic disarray. Pirate vessels, both small and massive, dotted the skyline, debris from the battle above littering the streets. The once proud capital, a symbol of the pirates' dominance, now looked like a dying animal, bleeding from the wounds humanity had inflicted. Jack's heart hammered in his chest as the shuttle's engines thrummed softly, cloaking their approach. They were deep behind enemy lines, and the slightest misstep could mean death. The Titan's fist loomed in orbit above the planet, a guardian angel of destruction, but the real work was here, on the ground. Jack's squad had one task: infiltrate the pirate stronghold, disable their final line of defense, and destroy their leadership once and for all. The plan was to send a clear message: the pirates had no place in the galaxy, and humanity would be the ones to decide who ruled the stars. They touched down on a desolate street, the shuttle's landing gear grinding against the cracked pavement. The air was thick with the scent of burning metal and scorched earth, a constant reminder of the battle raging above. Jack signaled to his squad. With swift, practiced movements, they disembarked and began their advance. The pirate capital was a labyrinth of towering structures, heavily fortified bunkers, and high-tech security systems. But the human legion had come prepared. Jack's team moved like shadows, using the chaos above to mask their movements. Their stealth suits, a blend of human and stolen pirate technology, kept them hidden from even the most advanced sensors. Every step brought them closer to the heart of the pirate empire. As they neared the central command complex, the sounds of distant firefights grew louder. Pirates, now desperate and cornered, were fighting tooth and nail to defend their last bastions of power. But Jack's squad was undeterred. They were the tip of the spear, the human weapon forged in the fires of vengeance. Every pirate they encountered was dispatched with brutal efficiency, their cries drowned out by the hum of energy blades and the sharp crack of blasters. At last, they reached the gates of the central command. The massive steel doors were reinforced, designed to withstand an assault from a fleet of warships. But Jack knew better. A small charge, expertly placed, would bring them crashing down. The explosion rocked the building, sending ripples through the surrounding streets. The team moved in, weapons raised, eyes scanning for movement. Inside, the pirate leadership had gathered, an assembly of warlords and mercenary captains who had once ruled the stars with an iron fist. They were all present. Kraith the Vile, the pirate lord who had orchestrated the raid on Astronova. Solar the Sly, a former smuggler turned pirate king, and several others who had made their fortune off the suffering of others. But none of them seemed to know what was coming. They were too drunk on their own power, too convinced of their invincibility. With a roar, Jack and his squad burst into the room. The pirate lords barely had time to react before the squad descended on them like a storm. Kraith, his cruel face twisted in fury, drew his weapon and fired. But Jack was faster. With a single shot, the pirate lord fell to the floor, his body hitting the cold metal with a final thud. The others, shocked and disoriented, made no move to fight back. They knew it was over. Jack stood over the fallen pirate leader, breathing heavily, his pulse racing. This was it, the moment he had been waiting for. For his family, for Astronova, for all the lives stolen by these monsters, it was time to end the pirate scourge once and for all. With a cold smile, he raised his weapon and pulled the trigger. The pirate empire, built on blood and terror, crumbled before him. and humanity's vengeance was complete. The death of Kraith the Vile marked the end of the pirate empire's reign of terror. With their leadership shattered and their stronghold in ruins, the pirate fleets began to splinter. Chaos erupted in the streets of the once mighty capital as various factions fought for control. But without a central figure to rally behind, the pirates were lost. The unity that had once made them a formidable force dissolved in an instant. Jack and his squad moved quickly through the wreckage, ensuring that every threat was neutralized. The central command complex, where the pirate warlords had once ruled, now lay in ruins. The hum of their energy blades was replaced by the distant wail of sirens and the crackle of communication systems as pirate remnants tried to regroup. But Jack knew that this wasn't just a victory, it was a statement. The pirates had learned, far too late, the price of underestimating humanity. For too long, they had believed themselves untouchable, that they could plunder, pillage, and destroy without consequence. But now, humanity had proven them wrong. They were no longer the helpless victims on the fringe of the galaxy. They were the ones who decided the fate of the stars. As the final pirates were hunted down and the last of their strongholds fell, the galaxy began to change. News of the human legion's success spread like wildfire, reaching every corner of space. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer weak. They had become a force to be reckoned with. Back aboard the Titan's Fist, Admiral Sarah Harper watched the events unfold with a quiet satisfaction. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. There were still pirate remnants scattered throughout the galaxy, still colonies to protect, and still enemies to defeat. But for the first time in years, Harper allowed herself a moment of relief. The victory had been hard-won, but it was a victory nonetheless. On the surface of the pirate capital, Jack stood amid the smoking ruins, his mind still racing. The faces of the fallen haunted him, and though the pirates had been defeated, he knew the scars would remain. He could still hear the screams of the people lost on Astronova, feel the heat of the flames that had consumed everything he had known. But he also felt something else, something that had been absent for so long. Peace. The war was over, the pirates were finished, and humanity had reclaimed its place in the galaxy. Jack's personal vengeance had been fulfilled, but it was more than that. Humanity had sent a message that would echo through the stars for generations to come. Never again would they be prey. Never again would they be forgotten. As the dust settled, Jack looked up at the sky, where the Titan's Fist hung like a guardian angel, its silhouette dark against the distant stars. The war had changed humanity forever, but it had also forged something new. A unity, a strength that had been born from the fire of loss and vengeance. And now, humanity would rise, not as a fractured, fragile species, but as one that could stand against anything the galaxy threw at them. For the first time in centuries, humanity had the power to shape its own destiny. And they would never be silenced again. The Titan's Fist hovered in the sky, its massive form casting a long shadow over the pirate capital. The final remnants of the pirate fleet had scattered into the depths of space, leaderless and broken. The galaxy, which had once lived in fear of the pirate scourge, now felt a shift, a tremor of change that rippled through every system, every colony. The war was over, but its echoes would reverberate for a long time. Back aboard the Titan's Fist, Admiral Sarah Harper stood on the bridge, gazing at the shattered planet below. There was no celebration, no triumph in her expression, only a quiet recognition of the cost of victory. The human legion had lost many, and though the pirates were defeated, the scars of war would remain. But they had earned their place in the galaxy, and no one could take that away. "Report, Commander," Harper said, her voice steady. "Pirates are scattered, Admiral." Commander Jacobson replied, his fingers flying over the controls. "We've received reports of their remnants retreating into the outer reaches. Some systems are in disarray, but overall, the immediate threat is neutralized." Harper nodded. "It's over then. For now, at least. But she knew better than to believe the galaxy would remain peaceful for long. Other factions, other threats, would rise to challenge humanity's newfound strength. The pirates had been a symptom of a larger problem, a problem that could never truly be wiped away. But for now, they had achieved something extraordinary. They had reclaimed their dignity, their power, and they had sent a message to the stars. Humanity would no longer be a victim. On the surface of the pirate capital, Jack stood alone among the ruins. His squad had already moved out, securing the area and preparing for extraction. He had done what he set out to do, avenged his family, helped bring down the pirate lords, and watched as their empire crumbled into dust. But now, with the battle won, there was nothing left but the silence of the aftermath. He could feel the weight of it all, the faces of the fallen, the friends lost in the fight, the people who would never return. But there was something else too, something he hadn't felt in years: hope. The Human Legion wasn't just a military force, it was the heart of humanity's resolve. The survivors of Astronova, the rebels, the engineers, the fighters, they were proof that humanity could rise from the ashes of destruction. And now, they would build something new. They would protect their own, defend their colonies, and ensure that the galaxy would never again forget what it meant to challenge humanity. As Jack made his way back to the Titan's Fist, he could see the horizon beginning to glow with the light of a new day. The war had ended, but the future had just begun. Humanity's place in the stars was no longer uncertain. They had fought for it, bled for it, and earned it with their own hands. Standing at the entrance to the ship, Jack paused for a moment, taking a deep breath. The war had taken its toll, but it had also forged something stronger than steel: unity, resilience, and a spirit that could not be broken. He turned to the squad behind him, his comrades in arms, and gave them a nod of silent acknowledgement. They had all made it through together, and together they would continue to shape the future. Humanity had risen from the depths of despair. Now it was their time to shine. The Titan's Fist lifted from the surface, its engines roaring to life. As it ascended into the stars, Jack's gaze remained fixed on the planet below, now a symbol of humanity's vengeance and rebirth. The pirate threat was over, but their legacy would endure in every human heart. The galaxy would remember this day, not for the destruction, but for the lesson it carried. When you push humanity to the edge, they will fight back, and they will never stop.